Hello, welcome back to the Jet Press Podcast. My name is Justin Fried, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Mike Luciano. Mike, how you doing, buddy? Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. Any fun plans with the family you got on tap?
Well, as you can see, I'm back in the echoey office, which is a result of heading back to the fam. Because I'd be damned if I'm traveling today, because isn't that I think it's the biggest travel day in the world, if I'm not mistaken, of the country.
That makes sense. That sounds all right.
So got that out of the way, and we're going to bring you some Jets stuff, a lot of Jets draft stuff, because this season is not worth really analyzing very hard, because they're bad and will continue to be bad for the rest of the year, at least. Hopefully they get up off the mat soon, but we don't know. So we got some mock drafts for you beforehand. We're going to go kind of do just the first two rounds. As an Austrian Jet fan coming in hot.
What a guy. Thank you so much.
Memberships.
Always
the man. Happy Thanksgiving. I don't know if Thanksgiving is celebrated in Austria at this time, but it is in America. So,
but Mike, I'll tell you what, we are thankful that he is giving 10 memberships.
Oh, yes, we are. So thank you, Austrian Jet fan. You know where to find us: Apple, Google, Spotify, Overcast, wherever you get your podcasts, we are there. And on YouTube, you know how to like and subscribe and do all that good stuff. Happy Thanksgiving, fellas. Thank you, Austrian Jet fan. Before that, we're going to do some mock draft stuff, but Justin really wanted to kind of go off on, I don't want to say go off on a tangent, but he wanted to really look at the expectations for the rest of the year, because there have been some rumblings, some really misguided takes from many that this season has been a quote unquote failure. We've seen that a lot from even some more prominent ones. So it's not just people talking out of their behinds right now. It's people with some actual cachet.
Sure.
My retort to all of that is, in the most emphatic possible terms, what did you expect? Aaron Glenn may change the culture with the Jets. We hope he does. We think he has a lot of traits that could lead him to do that. You want to give the guy more than like a year to erase 15 of sucking, of ineptitude, in comical ways usually, of doing the wrong thing from an executive point of view. You want to maybe give the guy maybe more than a year. Because what sucks right now for Aaron Glenn, and I saw some people going at this on social media, is Aaron Glenn is kind of in a no-win situation with the fans. Because if he wins, well, he's screwing up the tank. And if he loses, well, he's incompetent. How are you going to let him near the next quarterback?
Yeah.
So it's really a tough situation here. I thought that the Baltimore and New England games would be turning points, because they were games they were supposed to get the absolute doors blown off them, and they didn't in either of them. The Baltimore scoreline is closer than I think the 13-point loss would indicate. And I think New England, they were in that game in the fourth quarter. They were supposed to lose by 4 touchdowns that game. Actually made something of it. It's tough being the Jets head coach. It's tough being the coach of any team where the quarterback situation is what it is right now. And I know that Jets fans are never going to go and be easy on their coaches, because they're frustrated, and they have every right to be frustrated after how the last couple of years have gone. But anybody that's already getting too doom and gloom on Aaron Glenn, like I've seen a lot of many of the Connors out there in the Jets media sphere already start to get, I maybe tone it down just a little bit, because we're not even in step 2 or step 3 of what's supposed to be his quote-unquote plan. We can see if the plan works or not, but we are so early stage with this right now, it's unfair to really make any blanket judgments.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Really good question here from Brian before I kind of give my take on this season. He asked, when was the last truly successful season? He said 2017. Mike, it might be. It might be. In terms
of they went in trying to tank and they did?
Well, yeah. And like, that was Josh McCown, a quarterback. I think that was a genuine, even though they won 5 games, I think that year. It was a fun season. I had a good time that year. I don't think that was a bad season. They tanked enough that they were able to move up and get Darnold in 2018. You can maybe.
And then it worked, and then the Jets have a quarterback, and now everybody lives happily ever after the end.
You can't, that's exactly how it went. But you can't say 2018. You know, it was Darnold's rookie year. They were bad, but also Bowles got fired. And obviously, it's never a successful season when your head coach gets fired. 2019, they did win 7 games, but they were awful to start the year. And they kind of just, bullshitted their way to some wins late in the year. 2020 was an abject disaster. 2021, it wasn't the worst year by Jet standards.
They were 7-4.
2022, but I think how it finished, you can't call that a successful season. And We sure as hell are not going to say 2023 and 2024 are successful seasons. So, Brian,
what could have
based
been.
on that quick exercise, yeah, it might be. If it's not 2017, it sure as hell is 2015. That would be because it's not 2016. I'll tell you that. So it's either 2015 or 2017, which means we're closing in on a decade of unsuccessful seasons. And given the bar the Jets have set for themselves as success in most of those years, kind of wild that we haven't gotten to that point. But let's talk about 2025, because you could argue that this has been an unsuccessful season. I would say that first 7 games of the year, not what we were expecting, below expectations. They were 0-7. They looked like probably the worst team in the NFL. A lot of them are the Titans. There was a lot of talk about how the Jets were the worst team in the NFL. There was talk about Aaron Glenn being one and done, which would have seemed unfathomable 2 months before that. But they were genuine discussions. How likely they were, I don't know, but it was justified. It was justified to be having those discussions. That's how bad the Jets were. That's how bad the coaching staff had been to that point. But we've seen progress since then. Since that Bengals win, there's been tangible and noticeable progress on and off the field. Aaron Glenn was asked today, I believe, what he's grown the most as a coach with the Jets over the last, couple of months. He said his in-game decision-making, and I would tend to agree with that. I think going back, especially to like that Broncos game, man. I mean, that was
the end of that first half.
That was the worst that I had seen a Jets coach be when it comes to in-game decision-making in a while. Like, I thought that was worse than any solid game that immediately comes to memory. There might have been one, right? But nothing pops into my mind. Maybe, but it was as bad as it gets. Like that was the lowest it can be. What's the phrase I'm looking for? That was
nadir.
That's not the phrase I'm looking for. No, it's so whatever.
Rock bottom.
Rock bottom. Thank you. Rock
bottom.
Thank you. Rock bottom. That was rock bottom. But it's gone up since then. It's been better since then. I think that Aaron Glenn has done a much better job. The Jets have looked like a competent bad team. And if you told me that this is how the Jets would look over the last 4 to 5 weeks, this is how they look throughout the course of the season, I'd say that's a success. I'd still say totality, the 9 games they've played, below expectations. Not that I think that they should be like 3-8 or 4-7 or whatever, right? Maybe, another win would be nice, but I just think those first 7 games were rough. It was really rough. But if they close out the rest of the season the way they've been playing now, and there's some very winnable, easy games that they should not be looking over. They should not be looking overmatched against the Saints, against the Dolphins, against the Falcons on Sunday, Mike. When we do our predictions later,
even as JJ says, the Bills, who may have nothing to play for,
they might. Honestly, at this point, they might have something to play for. I don't think they're getting that division.
Week 18, though, I don't know.
They're right now. They're the 7th seed, so they are far from locked into a playoff spot at this stage. Isn't it wild that the Bills? There is a world where the Bills, Chiefs, Ravens, and Lions all miss the playoffs. That's a feasible world. Unlikely, I would say.
Then we got to watch Daniel Jones, Drake May, and Bo Nix fight for a Super Bowl.
Hey, man, Colts they're not locked into that first place in the AFC South. They play the Jags twice. The Jags play the Jets, and I believe they play the Titans twice as well.
They do,
so they play
yeah.
The Titans twice, the Jets, and the Colts twice. I think one more game. Jaguars can win that division, and if that happens, hey man, that first round pick you get from the Colts for Sauce could be a pretty high pick. But yeah, overall, I would say if I was grading this Jets season on a letter grade, give it a C. Like a C is fair, maybe a C plus, trending and up. But the first 7 games were real tough. I can't fully, exhaust them of any fault there. I have to take those into account when I'm looking at the overall season grade. But by the end of the year, it could get up to like a B plus, even if they win like 3-4 more games, which even like 3 more games, which I think is very feasible that they could win 3 more games. They finished this year 5-11. For tank purposes, not great. But if you're looking at progress,
fans will not be happy with that.
Listen, man, and that's another question, Mike. I'll ask you this: what is your preferred outcome for the rest of the season, like record-wise?
I want to see this team win 4 games.
Okay,
because I want to see them honestly lose to the Saints, because that would help with.
Yeah, if you're going to lose any one of those games, they should lose the Saints game due to some like bullshittery, where it's like Tyrod throw 3 picks,
or like a guy who's not going to be here, like Tony Adams screws up.
Yeah. Michael Clemens.
I want the screw-ups to come from guys that, like the Ravens game. Screw-ups are from guys who aren't going to be here or who just suck. And then good plays are for guys who are going to be here. Mm-hmm. Like I want John Mechie making 5-6 catches, and then I want Tony Adams or Michael Clemens doing something stupid.
Tyrod Taylor throws a pass off Alan Lazard's chest in a defender for a pick 6. Give me that.
Yeah, that would be totally fine. So Yeah, I'd say about probably 4. I think the 2 games I would be happiest with them winning right now because I don't think they're going to beat Buffalo or New England if they have anything to play for. Jacksonville is just the agent of chaos this year. I really don't know.
T-Law could throw 3 picks in that game.
And win like he did last week.
True, that's true.
He had 4 turnovers, and then he had 3 touchdowns, one of which was a crazy throw. I don't get it, but that's what it's like. He's White Jameis. That's what he is. He's White Jameis. But the 2 games I'd be the happiest with them winning are the Atlanta game and the Miami game. Miami's a division rival that is, I think, in the Jets' weight class right now. And they've beaten the last 2 teams in their weight class are Cleveland and Cincinnati. They beat them both. So I think that's a game you could win. And even Atlanta, Michael Penix being hurt, I think changes things. And Drake London may not play either. So
he's not gonna.
He's officially out.
He's doubtful. He's not.
Okay, so
yeah.
What's left of Kirk Cousins with that receiver room? Maybe this can be the game they finally get that elusive first interception in in December.
We'll see, man. I don't even know what's coming at this point.
So, JJ, I want losses, but in respectable fashion. See, people say that, and then they lose, and then they don't care about that. That's the problem.
Yeah,
people say they want losses, and then they lose, and it's Aaron Glenn sucks. It's like, well, I thought you wanted this.
Ideally, you lose. Like, I would love if they lost the Saints game, but beat the Bills. Like, something like that. That's a trade-off, right? Where you lose the Saints game because of some bullshittery or because you're a bad young team, right? That's going to make mistakes. But then you go into, is that in Buffalo, that game?
Yeah.
Yeah, you go into Buffalo in a game where the Bills need it, right? Look, not to flash back to 2015 here, but kind of flashback to 2015, except shoes on the opposite foot. Bills need a win to get in.
Alan Lazard, I think he had the same number as Ken Tompkins.
Well, it could be the reverse. So it'd be somebody on the Bills dropping it. It's not going to be Elijah Moore they just released, but it could be.
Which, by the way, Elijah Moore.
I know, very, very funny, I guess, for lack of a better word. But maybe it's.
I don't want to say like funny. He lost his job, but like.
Yeah, maybe it's Brandon Cooks, who they just signed. Maybe Brandon Cooks, deep ball. In and out of his hands, Tony Adams got, or Malachi Moore got in the way and was able to make enough of a play on the ball. You go into Buffalo and you beat them and you knock them out of the playoffs. Like that, if you end your season on that note, Mike, if the Jets only win 1 or 2 more games this year, I want that Buffalo game. I want that Bills game so bad. I think that would do so much for the psyche.
It would be funny. It would be good for content.
It would do so much for the psyche of those guys in the locker room to know, hey, man, we just knocked off the big bad Bills, right? The team that everybody pegged as like the obvious top team in a division going into the year. And not only did we knock them off, we knocked them out of the playoffs. That would be fantastic.
That's a culture win.
Yes.
Like that, and I'm going to be honest, because for some reason this is a controversial thing among Jets Twitter now. Like, it was cool to beat Bill Belichick in his final Patriots game. I don't care. Gave him Drake May. No, because they would have had the 4th pick. The Cardinals would have had the 3rd pick. The Cardinals would have taken Marvin Harrison Jr. anyway.
Well, here's the thing, though. Yes and no. Like, because I think the Giants were desperate to trade up for Drake May. And if the Patriots don't have that pick, the Giants have every opportunity to trade up and get Drake May.
I think the Cardinals were Marvin Harrison all the way.
They could have got Marvin Harrison by trading down. They didn't need they didn't need to stay put
to 6. No way, because then the Chargers would have taken him.
I think there's a very real world where the Giants are able to get up to pick 3 if the Patriots don't have the 3rd pick. Patriots just didn't want to move because they were set on Drake May.
It's not like they confirmed the Giants would have gotten 3 or something.
It's not confirmed, but
it's a hypothetical.
It is a hypothetical. I
got to see Bill Belichick and before he got his Gumar over there that's how he ends his football career. Robert Saleh and Trevor Siemian beat him.
Do you think Belichick ever coaches in the NFL again?
No.
Okay.
I think honestly,
I think he wants to.
Legitimately, if Pete Carroll wasn't like this, I think there was a shot. I think Pete Carroll looking like he's looked with the Raiders, not to be ageist here, but I think there's a real thing though. Like we can't hire a 70-something-year-old. I don't care how many Super Bowls he has. You can't hire somebody in their mid-70s.
And Belichick just torpedoing his legacy. Like, I mean, he's
not torpedoing his legacy, he's just doing weird things.
I mean, obviously, he's still going to be remembered as Bill Belichick, but
they're not going to think of Jordan Hudson before the championships.
Some people will. Yes, I think some people will.
Some people think 6'7" is funny. That
All right. Why are we
people with squirrel attention spans that we live with now?
Both of our bosses, like our boss, made a 6'7" joke to me earlier today. So I'll tell you who it is off camera.
Well, I was talking to my younger brother who's appeared on the show, guest analyst, and Originally, he said that is not funny with the kids anymore, but then saw him last week, and he said now it is funny again. So
it made a comeback.
It goes in waves.
I guess so.
You want to do some mock drafts?
You want to do some stats first, or you want to do mock drafts?
Let's do mock drafts. I feel like the mock drafts are going to be meaty because I have some opinions.
All right, fair. Honestly, I that's the meat of the episode. Maybe if we have time for that later.
The Jets are projected to have, if we go to our helpful little friends over at Tankathon, the number 4, 28, 35, and 45 picks in the draft. If honestly, because they do projected comp formulas there too, if they get all the picks they're supposed to, they could have 13 picks in this draft. Based on the comp formula right now. So
that would be nuts.
The Mooj 13 instead of the Idzik 12.
Oh, goodness. The Mooj. I don't like Mooj. I don't like that.
I do. So
I don't like
it. Everybody called him that.
I know. I don't like how it sounds.
As someone whose name is Luciano, every single level of school has gotten Luch.
Luch is good. Mooj sounds
like the same exact thing.
Mooj sounds like something you'd look up in Urban Dictionary and you'd be horrified about what it actually means.
Oh God!
I don't know what that even means, but usually,
but it's provocative. It gets people going.
Exactly.
Blades of Glory is an underrated movie. All right. Anyway, let's go and start with pick number 4.
How do you want to do this? Do you want to go each of our
Let's alternate picks. So in my scenario, I may call this a little bit of a perfect scenario because right now there are 3 teams above the Jets in the order. Titans, they're not taking a quarterback. The Giants, they're not taking a quarterback and are probably going to win a couple. And the Saints, who I don't think will take a quarterback. I think they stick with Tyler Shuck. Now I'm looking because everybody's talking about trading up. I went back and I looked. I'm like, who's in the last couple of years, teams who, quote unquote, didn't need a quarterback that got the number 1 pick? What did they do with it? And I found 3 examples. One team picked a quarterback to replace their old quarterback, the Cardinals, Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Picked one anyway. One team did not trade the pick, Jaguars. They got Trayvon Walker. Good, very good player. Probably should have taken Aiden Hutchinson, but very good.
Yep.
And then one team did trade the pick, the Bears, with Justin Fields. And then the Panthers got Bryce Young, and I'm sure they're having a little bit of buyer's remorse.
I'll say, I would definitely agree with that.
So we really don't know because we've seen basically 3, and we've gotten 3 different outcomes. So everybody assuming a trade-up is happening, we don't know that yet. But and you can go check out this mock draft I actually posted on the Landry Head, our Dallas Cowboys site. If the Titans take Arvell Reese, and the Giants take Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver from Arizona State, and the Saints take Ruben Bane from Miami, the defensive end. Yeah. With the 4th pick, the New York Jets. The New Orleans Jets. Yeah, they finally gave up and moved out. The New York Jets select Fernando Mendoza, quarterback.
Wow!
As I accidentally hit the maximize Justin Fried button instead of the put the graphic.
You got my reaction. That was my instant reaction because I actually thought, isn't this
one of those Japanese game shows where like the reaction takes up the whole screen? Whoa!
Add some like bam smack pow.
So there are in this mock, just for full transparency, pick number 5 is the Raiders taking Dante Moore, who's my QB2, and pick number 6 is the Browns taking Ty Simpson, who's my QB3. So they're all kind of around there. I think Mendoza's having a little bit of prospect fatigue at the top, where I think he's been QB1 for so long that people are trying to poke some holes in him. What you're getting is a guy who is, I know he hasn't played like the best Big Ten schedule, but the biggest challenge he had was at Oregon, and he beat them on the road. Penn State in that atmosphere, that whiteout atmosphere, beats them. 30 touchdowns, avoids turnovers, big guy, very good processor. He gets the ball out quick, and he gets the ball out quick down the field, which is big. He's not just captain check down over here. The encouraging thing, and this is going to sound really dumb to me, but 2 quarterbacks changed my mind, and they could both end up on the Jets next year. I remember when Kyler Murray was coming out of Oklahoma, and there was a scout who said one of the negatives was he didn't lose enough. What do you mean he didn't lose enough? How is that stupid?
That scout is at least 60 years old.
Now, but I looked at that, and then I looked at Justin Fields coming out of Ohio State, and I realized I might be a little bit wary of quarterbacks who come from these not from big programs, but where they're in this super vertical offense. The receivers are going to go pro. Half the O-line is going to go pro. The running back's going to go pro. And like Fields in college, he faced minimal, if any, resistance from defenses because everything was just so loaded. Whereas Fernando Mendoza had 2 years at Cal, which is not – they oddly enough are a very good quarterback factory because Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Cal puts out a lot of quarterbacks, but like Justin Wilcox did not have a great program there. He was still winning a lot of games and producing. And then on top of that, he goes to Indiana. Is this a fluke year? I don't know. I know they got some good receivers, but Indiana's not Ohio State or USC from a talent perspective. And what do you know? He's been as good, if not better, than anybody could have possibly imagined. Big guy, strong. I like that he's going to be able to throw downfield in adverse conditions because he's so big. That's big for me. That's why I'm a little worried about Simpson in December in Buffalo and New England. I think that could be that gives me a little bit of angst right there. Mendoza is checking a lot of boxes. He's not a perfect prospect by any means, but I think he's for sure got the highest floor of the consensus top three, and he's a guy where he reminds me a little bit of a bigger Darnold coming out, but the Jets don't have their Darnold system around where they just had nothing and let him get killed. I think Mendoza might be in a pretty good shot to succeed if the Jets end up with him at 4.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have a lot of people that have Fernando Mendoza as the top quarterback in this draft.
Really quick, Zachary Berner with a nice little note. He was going to go to Yale, but went to Cal.
Yeah,
he's a
very smart guy. I mean, you listen to him in interviews. He's a very smart guy, very religious as well. Just a very notable thing that in all of his pressers, he's
I'll take Aleister Crowley himself at quarterback if they win games.
Oh, absolutely, man. He seems like a nice dude, like a really good dude. But yeah, extremely, extremely smart player. I don't think he has like this all-world arm, but I think he's a very talented. He's a very talented passer as opposed to like the arm strength being out of this world. But he's the most talented, accurate pocket passer, quote unquote, in this class, who I don't think is necessarily a statue back there either. Obviously, there's all the Goff and
it's not like a Zach thing where all his plays are these like 50-yard rollout flips where you might get one chance in 3 games to do that in the NFL. He's making NFL progressions and throws.
Correct. I'm going to be really interested, and we get the luxury for all the top quarterbacks in this class, which includes Ty Simpson. This includes potentially Dante Moore if he comes out. All 3 of those guys are we have the luxury of seeing all 3 of them play very high leverage, high stakes college football games in the coming weeks and months in the college football playoff. All 3 of those teams likely are in the college football playoff. So that honestly, how they perform in those games is going to end up shaping the draft order so much to the point where it's November 26th. I can't tell you right now who my QB1 is. I can't tell you right now who the NFL is going to have as their QB1.
Comment and then a question for you before you get to your guy. Chris B, NY Jets fan. I wouldn't mind Jaden Mayava.
Yeah, I don't think he's a first-round guy. But
but he's rising. I think he might be QB4 now. Him and Sellers. I still think Sellers, the league likes him. Still,
I just think he's gonna try. He's got to transfer. I don't think he goes pro.
That's what I would do, but I think the league still like if like the Rams pick him at 31.
Yeah,
there's
so much.
It depends entirely on who drafts him.
There is so much uncertainty with this quarterback class, not just in the terms of like the talent, but who's going to be in it. Like we don't know if Sellers going to be in it. We don't know. Dante Moore could be a top 10 pick. Some people would have Dante Moore as their QB1, and he might not be in the draft. There was even a late push. There's been a late push. I've seen that people are saying maybe Arch could go into the draft. I don't think he will, but that would be a stunner, and that would completely shake up even if Arch is in the draft at this stage, the way he's been playing lately, some team probably uses a top 10 pick, top 15 pick on him.
Caleb Sherwood. What does this mean? Mendoza's the type of guy you see at a science fair. Ty Simpson's a damn leader who's been at Bama. What does that mean?
I like the first part, but I don't think that's an insult, right? There's plenty of extremely smart.
No, I think he's saying like Mendoza's like kind of like this nerdy geeky guy, and Ty Simpson's like.
But he also is a damn good
quarterback.
I don't know. He is a nerdy guy, but he's also a damn good quarterback. Wait, why you can't be nerdy and be a good quarterback? Says who? Says who?
Plummer was playing games altered, let's say. He was a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah. JJ said, you think the Saints stick with Tyler Shuck? I could see it, I guess.
He also said J-Mark too. He said, if we know the Saints draft a quarterback, how many picks would it cost to get number 1 or number 2?
It's going to depend on a lot of factors. It's going to depend on who's going with those picks, who has that pick, what other teams are trying to trade up for a quarterback. It's so hard to say. I'm guessing it costs them their first, like their other first, or one of the first, whether it's a next year first or this year first. At a minimum, I imagine it costs that. That'd be my guess. But it's hard to say now. As for the Saints and Shuck, yeah, they spent a second round pick on him, a top 50 pick, I believe, in last year's draft. The same GM, Mickey Loomis, is going to be there next year. The same head coach is going to be there. The same coaching staff, the whole same regime is going to be there. If he shows anything over these final, 6 games, which, not a great game his last game, but was a lot better before that. If he shows anything, yeah, they should absolutely roll with him. And I think they will. If they end up with the first overall pick, I don't know. If they win up with the first overall pick and they love a guy like Fernando Mendoza or Ty Simpson or Dante Moore or whoever, then maybe not. But there's a real chance they absolutely stick with him. Like if he shows any signs of progress, it's the same regime that's going to be there. So there's no reason they should give up on him. But
Mike Zimmelman, I wouldn't mind Mayav in the second if they target Arvell Reese or Bane with a wide receiver or a wide receiver using the 2 firsts this year.
It's an interesting situation because it depends on what they do at quarterback before that. Like if they bring in a Marcus Mariota, I don't hate Mayav in the second. It's just I never like using non-premium draft picks on a quarterback unless you're drafting that guy to be a backup, right? Where if you're using a
since Jalen Hurts, who's the last day 2 quarterback who's really been a stud? Either it's been some day like Dak, where it's a day 3 guy who just flies into the starting lineup.
You have Russell Wilson was a 3rd round pick. Derek Carr was a 2nd round pick.
But like high second, like 35 anyway.
Yeah. Teddy was the last pick in the first round.
Lamar was the last in the first round too.
Lamar was the last in the first round. It's not many. You don't see
Rudolph was a 3rd round pick. Like
you don't see
really many. Not a lot. Like the idea of drafting a quarterback on day 2 was really you either draft him day 1 to be your franchise guy or day 3 to be.
That's kind of my thought because if you use a 2nd round pick on Mayava, nobody's expecting Mayava to be the guy, right? That's not the assumption there. You're hoping, but 2nd round pick, you don't have the highest of high expectations. And then you're going into 2027 where you're going to have 3 first round picks, likely eyeing a quarterback. You might have just wasted a 2nd round pick there, which is the same conversation we're having with the Saints right now about Shuck, except they have less draft capital. So I would not prefer that route. I like Mayava. I just don't think that would be the best use of the draft capital the Jets have. But I wanted to get to a question here because this feeds into what my mock is going to be. Zachary Berner said, so is it without a doubt we draft the QB this year?
I think if they get Kyler, they don't. But
yeah, I would say not without a doubt. And that's going to lead into my mock because my mock, I didn't draft the quarterback. Partially to have fun with it, partially to have fun with the idea and to be a little counter to what you were doing, Mike. For full transparency, I thought you were taking Simpson. I didn't think I thought you had Simpson going to the Jets. So I was gonna be like, I don't want to do another Mendoza one. Let's have some fun with this. So let's just say in this scenario, either the Jets get Kyler or because I think it's still possible, even if they don't get Kyler, that they just don't love the quarterbacks in this draft. And I don't think the Jets are going to feel pressured to take a quarterback if they don't think any of the guys are the guy, because realistically, most regimes get one pick, one quarterback pick in their time with the organization. There's a very real chance that whatever quarterback that this regime decides to draft, that's going to be the guy that they are hitching their wagon to, and he has to be the guy. So if they don't like Mendoza or Moore or Simpson enough to be that guy, they're not going to draft him. They're not going to feel pressure.
Well, who might they draft then, Justin?
Well, I'll tell you right now, because let me edit the thing here. In this scenario, in the mock simulator that I'm using, Mendoza, Simpson, both off the board. We're going to say Dante Moore goes back to school. Arvell Reese is
the nightmare scenario.
Yeah, I guess if you really want a quarterback, that is definitely a nightmare scenario. The Jets didn't like any of the quarterbacks enough to trade up. Arvell Reese is the only non-quarterback taken. So you're staring at a board with Ruben Bane, with Jordan Tyson.
So you're fully on Arvell Reese over Bane?
No, not necessarily. But I'm just saying in this scenario, Arvell Reese went before Bane.
Okay.
And what that leads me to is the Jets take Ruben Bane. That's who they take. And I think that's a slam dunk, obvious, can't miss, no doubt pick. I consider Jordan Tyson. I would love to add a really good wide receiver as well in this draft. And Tyson, I think, is worthy of a top 5 pick. But I just like the wide receiver depth even more than the edge rush depth. And I think Ruben Bane is more of, I think Ruben Bane's the best player in this class. I still have him ahead of Arvell Reese. I just think he's
lack of production this year only 3.5 sacks. Does that trouble you at
The
all?
pressure numbers are still there.
Or is it like Myles Garrett at A&M where they just triple team him every play? And that's why
he has 55 pressures. His PFF grade on the year is a 93.
Not bad. It might be like a Jadeveon Clowney where he just gets a billion pressures,
right? And I just think
sacks.
I think you put him on this defense, you've fixed half the problem with the defense. Because right now, the two problems I see with like two glaring problems. You can't create takeaways, and your pass rush is not good. Those are your two problems. Well, you put Ruben Bane there. Now Ruben Bane and Jermaine Johnson are your starters, and Will McDonald is in his designated pass rush specialist role where he can just go nuts after the quarterback. You've solved half your problems. And you also helped solve part of the other one because now your pass rush is better, so you can create more chaos and likely create more takeaways. I just think he is a slam dunk, can't miss, obvious, in my opinion, best player in the class. And if he's there for the Jets at 4 and they're not drafting a quarterback, you take him. You don't even think about it. He's 6'3", 275, I believe, roughly, is what they list him at Miami. Maybe he's a little bit lighter than that, but this is a grown man. This is a mammoth of a human being who's an awesome run stopper, can absolutely rush the passer, can wreak havoc on opposing offenses. Easy pick for me.
Chris B, I think if it would be impressive if they don't draft in 26, and then you wait till 27 with Julian Sayin, CJ Carr from Notre Dame, Arch Manning, DJ Lagway, and get everything up. The problem with that is, again, that class looks impressive. I'm hesitant because this class was supposed to be loaded.
Yeah.
And then Garrett Nussmeier got hurt, and Sellers didn't have the year everybody thought. Arch was up and down. DJ Lagway just stinks.
Cade Klubnik was a guy at one point.
Klubnik was terrible. Aller blew out his leg. We don't know what's happening with him now. Like, every year, you can always kick the can down the road. And I'm going to be honest, you don't see this much in the NFL. But again, as a Nets fan, I've experienced this with Sean Marks. And I'm not saying Muji's a bad GM like Sean Marks, but what bad GMs will sometimes do is they'll keep making trades to accumulate draft picks in the future. So they're like, well, I have to use these picks. And that way, if they get fired, it's like, well, I had all these picks. They never let me use all the picks. That was part of my big plan. So I feel like what Muji might do if the heat is on, and I don't know if he'll do this, because again, we like a lot of things he's done, is he'll keep kicking the can down the road for quarterback. And he's like, well, I keep saying next year's better. And then eventually like, all right, you can't keep going with bridge options forever.
Well, they can't do that forever. Like, if they don't draft the quarterback in 2026, they're going to do something in 2027.
Yeah, but then what if 2027 is worse?
Maybe it is. Maybe they don't. But then they find another way to get a quarterback. Like, they try and trade for somebody. They go whatever route. Like, but if they don't love the quarterbacks in this class, I don't think the Jets are going to look at this, by the way. I know a lot of fans will look at it from this perspective. I don't think the organization is going, man, that 2027 draft class is quarterback class is definitely going to be better. I don't think they think that.
Julian Sayin is really good.
I think they're looking at guys like Sayin. They're looking at guys like Manning, like a CJ Carr if he declares early, because he's looked very good for Notre Dame this year. Or even like if a Sellers goes back, or Dante Moore, if those guys go back, they're in that conversation
CJ
too.
Bailey from North Carolina State. Remember the name.
I can't say I've watched him, but fair shout. We will remember that name. So a year from now, maybe we'll talk about him. But I don't think they're going to necessarily look at it as, oh, those guys are definitely going to be hits. But if they don't love the quarterbacks in this class, I don't think they feel pressured to take one. And I know that might piss off some fans, because fans kind of have latched on to the idea that, Mendoza and Simpson are these guys, right? I think there's a lot of teams that are going to have Mendoza and Simpson probably rated even below Cam Ward in last year's class. That could change, right? That could change based on how they perform in the college football playoff. But I'm just saying, from the Jets' perspective, if they don't love any of the quarterbacks in this class, they're not going to feel pressure. They're not going to use the mindset of next year's class is definitely better. But they're not going to hitch their wagon to the only quarterback draft pick that they get to make if they don't like that, if they don't love that player, right? So I think there's a world where they don't draft the quarterback. And if they do, Mike, do we have any reservations about Ruben Bane? Do we have any?
I mean, as a player, I don't want to say beyond reproach, but he's at the lowest he goes is like the top 5 or the top 6.
Yeah, he's gonna be a great player, like a really good.
One of the problems I have, and it's not even Ruben Bane's fault, because he's a great run defender. He's so fast for his size. He's got a good toolbox of pass rush moves that a lot of guys don't really have right now. I'm a little nervous only because, and this is totally not his fault, I feel like every year there's always the quarterback will go 1, and then second is usually the hot pass rusher that's like, oh, he's an immediate 10-year starter. I feel like, especially lately, there's been kind of some mixed reviews. Like, Chase Young was not what we thought he would be. I know he got hurt a lot, but it was not what we thought he would be after the rookie year, which was so good. Trayvon Walker, very good player, but not – you want him at like number 13. You don't want him at number 1.
Sure.
Abdul Carter has just not had a good year at all with the Giants.
I know. I think I'm not concerned about him, though. I'm really not. He has the most pressures among all edge rushers. The only concern I'd have is more
rookies, you mean?
Stuff. Among all rookie pass rushers, my bad.
But man, this dude's unlucky. No sacks.
He's pressuring the quarterback. I also think there's just a tax of the Giants being bad, and especially that defense. Way like batting
sleep is not.
No, it's not. That's why I said the off-field stuff concerns me more. But I think I don't know. Shane Bowen had those dudes in hell. Like there's no reason the Giants pass rush should have been as bad as it was this year. It's kind of remarkable that it was.
But if they go, obviously, I think Reese is up top, but I don't think they're going to be in Reese territory if he keeps playing like this.
Who knows? I mean, I could see
the best non-quarterback the Jets could take is Ruben Bane.
Yeah, I agree.
It might be like when they took Leonard Williams and you can sell yourself as we got the best player in the draft. I feel like it's going to be one of those things.
I think like Leonard Williams, he has such a high floor. Like Leonard Williams has never been a top 5 defensive lineman in the NFL.
No, right? Zero chance he'd be bad.
Yeah, I feel so confident that Ruben Bane is going to be a very good, at minimum, fringe Pro Bowl player. Like
I really think the Jadeveon Clowney comp is really going to.
Yeah. Clowney and honestly, Clowney's a good comp too, because you already have that such a high floor as a run defender, and he's such a good athlete that there's no way he busts. Like he's going to be a good NFL player. Wild Shoes saying Arvell Reese is a generational player. You can line him up anywhere from linebacker or edge, and he'll be an all-pro. Yeah, I think Arvell Reese is awesome too. And look, if Ruben Bane was off the board in this scenario, I'd probably take Reese over Tyson as well. I would have both of them ahead of Tyson. And
he might go high. I'm not sold on Jordan Tyson as this like top 3 for a receiver, freaky prospect.
I think he's awesome, and he's my favorite receiver in this class. I just think the depth at wide receiver is a lot.
He got hurt this year for crying out loud.
I know he's missed a lot of time. I don't care. Like he's still an awesome player. Like, but I don't think he's like leaps and bounds ahead of Carnell Tate and Mekhi Lemon. Like I think I would have him ahead of them, but I don't think
he's
even
have Lemon as wide receiver 4 though. So
as
wide receiver 3. I mean,
who's your wide receiver 3?
Well, I'll let you know because that transitioned well into pick number 28.
Fair enough.
A lot of guys want the receiver here. In this exercise, when I did my mock, Carnell Tate was off the board at 16. He went to the Steelers. Denzel Boston was off the board at 21. He went to the Bills.
Yeah, I wanted Boston at 28 in mine as well, and he was gone.
He went to the Bills.
Yeah.
Mekhi Lemon went off the board at 23. He went to the Niners.
Shocked he fell that far.
Oh, really?
That's a great fit for him too. If he goes to the Niners,
I had him at Denver for the longest time, but then Denver kept winning.
Dude, the Niners, that is scary hours if he goes there.
It's Ayuk. It's just younger Ayuk.
Yeah.
So the Jets have 2 good defensive ends. Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald, and nothing else.
Yeah.
They are – I can't find a defensive end room that is this stylistically different. You have – will never get 10 sacks in a year, but is this emotional edge leader, run defender.
Calvin Pace.
Calvin Pace.
Yep.
Or as Wild Truth says, JSN was injury-prone in college. Yeah, but some guys also Kevin White was injury-prone in college, and he got hurt a bunch. So
has Jordan Tyson been injury-prone before this year? Has he missed?
No, but like it starts with stuff like this. But anyway, so they have Jermaine Johnson who plays like that, and then they have speed off the edge. Every 6 games he becomes Reggie White, but he can't play the run at all because he's small.
But the other 5 games, he's a little better Braden McGregor.
So they need, I think, one more. They either need another Jermaine or another Will McDonald. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at because again, this is a really good pass rush draft. Cassius Howell off the board, Tampa Bay. TJ Parker, who was supposed to be a top 5 pick, who's not been that good this year, off the board to the Bears. So that leaves me looking for the best edge available. And that happens to be kind of a Jermaine-y guy, Matayo Ulagalelei.
Yep.
From Oregon.
He's is he DJ?
He's DJ's brother, yes.
That's what I thought, yeah.
He is DJ's brother. He is a guy who he doesn't have the best explosion off the line. He is kind of a jack of all trades, master of none, or he doesn't have like that dominant. He's not crazy strong. He's not crazy fast. He's just kind of a little bit good at everything. And kind of like TJ Parker. I mean, he had 11 sacks last year. I think he has 5 this year. So a little bit of a downturn, but what you're getting is 270 pounds, crazy high motor, good technique for an edge like that. Like he's not just using his pass. Jake Assman, tremendous show. Happy Thanksgiving, Justin and Mike. Thank you, Jake Assman.
Oh,
Very
very
much
much
appreciate
appreciated,
you
Jake.
guys
Thank
out
you so
there.
much,
So make
buddy.
sure to check out
Jake
Jake's
was
stuff. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family
absolutely.
too, Jake Asman.
Jake, shout out Jake. You got
He
his
did
Twitter
get his
account
Twitter
back. He was
account back.
happy.
He locked it, and I'm like, wait a minute, did he like? I'm like,
What's going on
what
here?
happened here? But it was one of those like crypto hack. Like that happened with a guy we work
Yeah.
with too. He's like, I'm getting DMs
Yeah.
from him. I'm like, this is not what this guy does. What happened?
No.
So looking at Ulagalelei, this is a guy who is a little more on the Jermaine side, but I think if you get him, because he can defend the run already at Oregon, you're going to get somebody who starts right away, I think, over Will McDonald. And it puts Will McDonald into a role that I think he's just better at. Michael Clemens is awful. When he's played limited snaps, he's been a little bit better because it's more defined. I think if you just make Will McDonald this situational Bryce Huff speed off the edge guy, which is what he was supposed to be in the first place when they drafted him, I think that's better for him. And I think it's better for the defensive line as a whole. I don't think this is going to be Ruben Bane levels, obviously, of just pressure off the edge, but this guy for a 28th overall pick, even in a deep pass rusher draft, this guy is super safe on the edge. And I'm happy with super safe picks. I don't mind that right now. So I'm looking at this guy, crazy high floor, with or without Steve Wilks, I think he fits in.
Yeah, agreed. It's a similar mindset to what I had when I took Bane. Obviously not as good of a player, but high floor player. And I also think if you're looking at this edge rush class and you're looking at what edge rushers fit the Jets, I think they're going to want to go for the more Jermaine Johnson style guys than the Will McDonald guys. I just, the way that they try and run their defense, it seems like they're looking more for the bigger bodied kind of read and react, set the edge type of defensive ends, which seems to be why they kind of, despite the fact that he's bad, they're okay. They kind of like Michael Clemens. Unfortunately, he's just not good at football.
I wish I knew
but
why.
I think he fits more what they're looking for in a defensive end, which makes me think they would go after someone like Ulagalelei more than like I know you said he was off the board, but like Cassius Howell, who's somebody who relies a lot more on his athleticism. He's got short arms, smaller guy, but he's like 250.
Maybe
or
Mason Thomas from Oklahoma was kind of like that too.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think you're looking at bigger guys more like Ulagalelei. And it's the same exact thing with Bane, where that shifts Will McDonald, who, by the way, the Jets have to make a decision on him this offseason. I don't know if they pick up that fifth-year option, right? I really don't know if they do. And either way, regardless, I think his best role is probably as your third best pass rusher or third edge rusher. I don't think he's somebody that should be playing 50, 60% of snaps because I think he's going to get exposed that way. So I think a guy like Ulagalelei, if you're drafting him in the back half of the first round, you're expecting him to come in and start immediately. And that kind of shifts McDonald more to that third down pass rusher role, that guy you can just kind of let him, as they say, pin your ears back and just go after the quarterback. And I think that's probably his best role. I am with my
really quick though, before we get into your picks, I want to get
me.
some edge opinions out right now. You already got your guy. That sounded weird, edge opinions. But I'm looking at guys like LT Overton I think he's a little too in-betweeny. A little too, so I don't know about that. What would happen if TJ Parker is there at 28? Because he was supposed to be a top 5 pick, and he's just been pretty bad this year.
What's his production been like?
He got 2 sacks this year. He had 11 the year before. And that's with Peter Woods, who's going to be the first defensive tackle off the board, too.
So let's see. PFF still likes him, but only 31 pressures, 2 sacks. Yeah, it's not, the numbers aren't great. Seems like the run defense is still really good. And look, he's 6'3", 260.
Chris B says David Bailey. David Bailey's not going to be there at 28, so.
I doubt it. And he's another speed
he's
guy
speed.
too,
but I wouldn't hate if you get 2 speed guys and just go crazy with that.
No, I don't hate it. It just seems like not what they want with this defense, but maybe not. Maybe we're wrong. We haven't seen them have a full scouting cycle yet. So it's hard to fully judge what pieces they want to fit this scheme. And also we say all this not knowing if Steve Wilks is going to be on the team next year. Like Steve Wilks might be fired. And if Wilks is fired, if I'm betting right now, I'm assuming he's not, but if he is,
I don't think he is, but I think they bring in like some sort of senior assistant to kind of be like co-DC almost. They can't just let him roll it out the same thing.
Maybe they're just like, maybe they elevate. Like, is there anybody on the staff that they would elevate to
Eric Washington? Maybe because he's had past experience.
Maybe someone like him or like a Chris Harris, who's their pass game coordinator. Maybe he gets elevated to some sort of
assistant head coach, and he helps with the defense.
Where you're almost like grooming him to take over for Wilks. I could see them doing something like that rather than bringing in like another vet.
Who's the DB coach right now? I'm blanking on his name. Oh, Chris Harris. Of course, yeah.
He's also the DB coach and pass game coordinator. So maybe they do something like that. But yeah, we'll see. With my pick though, Mike, I'm sticking with the state of Oregon.
The School of Oregon
I
too?
felt the School of Oregon, yeah.
No
I should
Oregon
say
State Beavers out there?
I don't think any Oregon State
I think they
players
almost
are
fired
close
their
to that.
interim head coach this year. That's how bad it's going for them.
They're a mess of an organization of a football program. But I got very lucky. So in this full transparency, I drafted Ruben Bane.
By the way, Frank Ragnow's coming out of retirement. So
oh shoot! Wow,
little non-Jets news.
That's
for
awesome.
You, but that's
the Lions. Cool. Good for the Lions. I assume to be with the Lions.
I would assume he's not coming back to compete with Josh Myers.
Josh Myers. Oh man.
Anyway,
missed out. Damn. So I wanted a wide receiver. Denzel Boston was probably my top target because I want that big-bodied X receiver to partner with Garrett Wilson, and then you can go into next year with John Mechie as your slot, Adonai Mitchell as your stretch forward. That's ideally what I want the Jets wide receiver room to be. That wasn't an option because Denzel Boston was off the board. Now I could have gone for a guy like a Chris Bell, like an Elijah Sarratt. Instead, there was a very interesting player who happened to fall all the way to 28, and Mike. I just couldn't pass. I couldn't pass on Kenyon Sadiq because Kenyon Sadiq was
another
staring me
tight
in the face
end.
at pick 28, and I can't pass on that. Get ready to run a lot of 80% 12 personnel. This is not anything about Mason Taylor, who is a very good player, and I really like Mason Taylor. And I think absolutely, even if you draft Kenyon Sadiq, Mason Taylor still has a prominent role in your offense. The NFL has shifted in a lot of ways to running heavy 12 personnel. The teams are running that way more this year than they have in the past. And I think we've kind of seen that almost come full circle, where for a few years it was a lot of spread formations. You want to get as many small guys on the field as possible, small, speedy guys, kind of like the Miami offense. Think of that offense where it's just like, let's draft guys who are fast. Doesn't matter how big they are. Then I think teams have kind of adapted to that because defenses started to adapt to that and put a bunch of speedier, smaller guys where you look at like a Jamie and Sherwood type linebacker. That archetype didn't exist that prominently, 25 years ago, right? I think you're seeing a shift back in the opposite direction where teams have looked at defenses. Offenses have adapted to defenses who have loaded up on smaller personnel, and they're now loading up on bigger guys. The Jets run a lot of 12 personnel themselves. They run, Andrew Beck plays 10 offensive snaps a game, right? 5 to 10 offensive snaps a game. Jeremy Ruckert is playing a good amount. You look at, teams like, even Green Bay does this a lot. They don't even have great tight ends. They use a lot of 12 and 13 personnel.
Too, that helps.
They have Matt LaFleur, sure, but they're running, John Fitzpatrick out there a ton, and
Jordan Musgrave,
or John Fitzsimmons. I'm sorry. But yeah, you can, I think if Kenyon Sadiq is out there, man, I mean, Kenyon Sadiq's the best tight end in this class. The George Kittle comparisons may be a little much because, but I think the floor as a blocker, he is a ferocious, vicious inline blocker who is also an excellent receiving threat as well. He is just a monster. He opens up your running game so much and provides another safety valve for a young quarterback. He's your second target in the receiving game, along with Mason Taylor. You don't even need a high-end wide receiver too if you have a 22 or 20 or 12 personnel of Breece Hall, Mason Taylor, and Kenyon Sadiq. And then whatever you get from John Mechie and Adonai Mitchell. You could still add another wide receiver, and I think we might, spoiler for this mock. But if Kenyon Sadiq is there at 28, man, I am running the car.
Really quick, this is AG's burner. If you spot any good international talent, you fail Muji.
Wait, I didn't
your
get
background.
International. Oh, okay. I forget.
But anyway, all right. So I have mixed thoughts on Sadiq. Here are the good thoughts. Best tight end in a very weak class by a mile. There may not be another tight end in the first 2 rounds. Maybe Max Clare from Ohio State. Other than that, he's the only one. The Jets do run a lot of 12 personnel. So I think he'd be a good fit there. He may even overtake Mason Taylor because you're investing more in him than you are.
I think he's better than Mason Taylor.
Now, and he's a very great receiver, very athletic. He's made some crazy catches, has amazing contact balance for a guy that big. So, very good player in a vacuum. He's probably better than the 28th best player in this class, so I like that.
Agreed.
Here are the problems with it. Number one, you are eventually – I like Mason Taylor a lot, and it seems – I don't want to say weird, but I don't like dooming him to tight end too for –
You're not. You're not. It's just like you can have 2 really good tight ends.
Sadiq also seems like one of these guys, and I remember Cordero Patterson changed my mind on this. And even Evan Engram this year. Every time you hear this guy's in the Joker role, we're going to create packages for – every time you start hearing that, start like what the Broncos did with Evan Engram this year, what teams did with Cordell Patterson. I feel like Sadiq might be one of those, like, we're going to have whole packages to maximize his athletic talent. And then you kind of get away. You kind of get away from being a traditional tight end, which is why you pick him. And I just don't think – I think that they're just positional needs at other spots. Like, if you want to do a lot of tight end 2 stuff,
well,
I think Ruckert's improved enough where, like, you could upgrade over Ruckert. Or – and this might be a crazy idea. If you want this sort of thing, like 2 high-end tight ends, even though this guy has lost some luster, you want to just throw money at Kyle Pitts and then just do the same thing?
I wouldn't be. I mean, I wouldn't be.
Then you don't need to take Sadiq.
Yeah, you don't need to. It's more so, hey, I'm not going into this draft being like, yeah, we're going to draft a tight end in the top 50. That's not the plan here. It's just you get to 28, you look at the board, and because as AJ's burner is going on in chat, he said, I wouldn't want a tight end. Taylor has room to grow and is a very young prospect. This has nothing to do with Mason Taylor. Like, you're not drafting Kenyon Sadiq to replace Mason Taylor. You're drafting Kenyon Sadiq to be another pass catcher in your offense and to be the best run blocker in your skill position group. That's what you're drafting him to be. You're drafting him because you need a wide receiver too. Kenyon Sadiq is that wide receiver too. Like that. Think of it that way. Don't think of it as, we're drafting a replacement for Mason Taylor. Both of them. I don't think Mason Taylor's snaps would decrease significantly at all, if at all. If you draft
here's
Kenyon
the thing,
Sadiq.
though. Teams are running a lot more 12 personnel. I need to go look at the numbers right now. I don't know how many teams there have like 2 tight ends that are both have really good receiving numbers out of 12 personnel.
I would say the Browns do it a ton. They don't have the production because the quarterback play sucks. But Njoku and Fannin are both very good.
Do you want to model yourself after the Cleveland Browns offensive strategy?
No, because their quarterback sucks, but I don't think their offense sucks. Their quarterback and their offensive line are.
I guess horrific. The difference too, honestly, is I think the way they use Harold Fannin is almost like kind of a jumbo receiver, though. Like Sadiq in a way is almost just basically like an inline tight end, just like Mason Taylor is.
Hold on, AG, because Kenyon, he asked why do you have the tight end to get wide receiver 2 for production? Because the Kenyon Sadiq is significantly better than any wide receiver prospect that is available at this spot. He's quite frankly a top 15 player in this class. You could argue he's a top 12 player in this class, and him being at 28 is just, you can't pass on that. The Detroit Lions were slammed when they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs because they already had David Montgomery. That worked out for them, right? And it's not because they thought David Montgomery was a bad player. And guess what? David Montgomery still had a huge role in their offense, and his role didn't really significantly decrease. It's the same thing here. You can draft 2 good players, especially at a time when the NFL is trending towards a ton of 12 personnel, and your own offense runs a lot of 12 personnel. I think Jeremy Ruckert's been fine this year. I think he's been a much better player than he was last year. But we're talking Kenyon Sadiq versus Jeremy Ruckert here. Like, that's a massive upgrade. And again, it gives you your secondary pass catching option, which is what you're looking for. Your pass catching options are then Garrett Wilson, Kenyon Sadiq, Mason Taylor, Breece Hall, and whatever the hell else you get from John Mechie, Adonai Mitchell. Maybe you add another player. It is a need, though. I don't think AG's burner, you're not understanding this. It is a need. You're looking at this as
wouldn't this feel very like Azaria Thomas-y?
No,
because Azaria Thomas wasn't a need when they picked him, but just the value was crazy, just like Sadiq.
I'll tell you why. Because Azaria Thomas has 0 path to playing time if the Jets don't trade Sauce Gardner. 0 path. Kenyon Sadiq has an obvious path to playing time, and that does not cut into Mason Taylor's playing time. It's not that it is a need. Like, you want good football players who can catch the football. That is a massive need for this Jets offense. That is what Kenyon Sadiq is. I don't understand the hesitation here. I figured this would get a lot more.
Well, because I think they like Mason Taylor a lot,
but it's nothing to do with Mason Taylor. You're not.
And the Jets do run a lot of 11 personnel right now, so they would have to kind of philosophically change a lot of the things they do.
Not by that much. Really not by that much. And for a guy like Kenyon Sadiq, you definitely do that. I don't think that is... I don't understand how this is an indictment of Mason Taylor, because Mason Taylor is still getting significant run, and you're not cutting into his playing time at all. You're basically taking Allen Lazard and Tyler Johnson's snaps, and you're giving it, and Jeremy Ruckert snaps, and you're giving it to Kenyon Sadiq.
Let's move on to the second round really quick. AG's burner. I do like the conversation. Let some of the other classmates possibly get their opinions in too.
He sounds like a toddler.
Let's go to the second round. because the Jets do need pass catchers. And now in this mock, in my opinion, they already have their quarterback, Mendoza. They already have, as I bang my funny bone, their new pass rusher in Ulagalelei, Oregon guy. And have you seen Jacob Rodriguez, not Jared?
He's awesome. Jacob Rodriguez.
Yeah, but I think he's like a later day 2 guy. I think linebacker is like a free agency thing.
He is.
But I'm going to go for a wide receiver that really had to. How do I phrase this? He had to make me challenge because I'm not a helmet scouting guy except for like 1 or 2 position groups, and this is one of them. And I'm looking at some of the guys that are going to be there up in the second round. I didn't take Kevin Concepcion. I didn't take Chris Bell, who was off the board at this point.
Is that his first name? Is Kevin?
Yeah, it's Kevin.
I didn't know that. He doesn't.
I've seen both, but
okay.
I didn't take Jacoby Lane. I didn't take Jeremy Bernard, who I liked a lot. I went with the 35th pick, so this is their own second-round pick. I went with Chris Brazzell from Tennessee. Chris Brazzell, number one, he comes from Tennessee, and that system is so remedial and so backwards and so goofy.
I know. The Jalen Hyatt talks already.
Now, Jalen Hyatt was Jalen Hyatt was basically Arian Smith before Arian Smith, where all he could do was run. But he had drop issues and couldn't run routes. Brazzell is a little bit different. Now, Brazzell does have some drop issues, and he is coming from that system, so it might be a very long adjustment period. That's why I get Adonai Mitchell and John Mechie to help with that. But this team needs an X receiver. This team needs to go up and get a big physical guy. And if Chris Bell's off the board, really the only guy that I could see maybe them taking in this spot, and I think Brazzell's just a better player than him right now, is Jacoby Lane from USC. That's like relative to their value. I think Brazzell is definitely faster. He's taller. He's 6'5". Yeah. That's huge. I think even though he got picked in the 4th round, he's struggling a little bit. I think the fact that Dante Thornton has carved out a kind of a regular role in the NFL, and Brazzell's basically stepped into that role, I think that's a sign that he can maybe follow that sort of path.
He's kind of what the Jets wanted Arian Smith to be.
Want who to be?
Like that, Arian Smith. Big play, downfield threat.
And he's 6'5", he's huge. So
he's bigger than Arian Smith.
Yeah, I would probably say of the day 2 receivers, there are some ones I might like a little bit. Chris Bell is a really weird player to evaluate. I'm getting kind of like, I don't want to say Malachi Corley, but like, because he's a lot bigger.
Right. His ceiling is really high, but I definitely worry about his floor. Like if he could bust.
So sure. Brazzell's a guy where, again, you're going to have to use him a very specific way, but you got your do-it-all guy, Garrett. You got your underneath slot guy, Mechie. You got your other explosive big play guy, Adonai Mitchell. It seems like if this front office liked Adonai Mitchell that much that they want him in a Sauce Gardner trade, I feel like they might like Chris Brazzell. I just think the route running's not quite there yet, but if you have a good offensive coaching staff, I think you can work with that. You just don't have to get Brian Daboll, who just didn't do anything with Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of really good X receiver type players at the back half of the first round towards the beginning of the second round, which really bodes well for what the Jets are going to need, which is another reason why I just don't think they're going to go after a guy like Tyson necessarily top of the draft. Obviously, if they're drafting quarterback, then that eliminates that possibility anyway. But I just think there's another shout here from Chris, Ian Strong from Rutgers. I didn't pick him, but that's another guy.
I don't know about round 2
fit
for
that
Ian
same.
Strong.
He's up there. PFF's Mock Simulator has him early round 2. I don't know what the NFL is going to have him, but that's what PFF's Mock Simulator has him.
I don't know. I could see maybe on day 3, not day 3, round 3, I think might be like middle of round 3 for him right now. The kid from UConn might be one of my favorite late day. Skylar Bell.
Oh, what's his name? Yes. I don't know if he's a second.
Yeah, but he's rising.
He can play. He's an NFL player for sure. I'm going with a different guy though, and I took Kenyon Sadiq, second pick, which apparently was super controversial, right? Because you didn't get a wide receiver, right? You didn't get a wide receiver that's a need. Well, 7, 8, 9 picks later, whatever, I got a wide receiver because there was a guy that I wanted that I thought would have been probably a bit of a reach at 28, but was absolutely still there at 35. It's somebody that if you've watched Fernando Mendoza, you've watched a lot of this player this year. It's Elijah Sarratt.
I'm a higher on Elijah Sarratt than most. I didn't even have him going 35.
I don't think that's that crazy.
It's not.
I think he's a second round
like
pick.
this,
I don't think 35 is nuts by any means at all. 6'2", 220 or whatever.
He's not part of the Sarratt brood, is he? Chaz and
Sarratt. He's actually, I believe it's Sarratt. Elijah.
It might be Sarratt.
So
okay,
no, I don't believe there's So no relation to Chaz or Sage or whoever else was
Former
in
Jets great Chaz Sarratt. He's still in the Niners?
Yes.
Did
they cut him?
No, he's on the Seahawks. Okay.
Oh, there you
go.
go.
I remember that because at the time, Lee Vowell, our Seahawks guy, fan-sided, the Seahawks needed linebackers at the time. He goes, hey, can this guy play good linebacker? I'm like, nope. Special teams he can.
but he's a meathead special teams guy who's a great athlete and a former quarterback. That's what he could do. But I like Elijah Sarratt a lot. Obviously, if you've watched Fernando Mendoza, you've seen him a lot in Indiana. Another guy who could fit that X receiver archetype, but I don't think he's necessarily solidified as he has to be an X. I could see him being like a big slot at the NFL level too. Not necessarily that's what the Jets need him to do, but I think he's more diverse than just being your, go up and get it type of guy, which I will say too, I would like him to be a little bit better in contested catch situations. He hasn't been amazing.
Omar Cooper's been there. Who I think also really
which would be a little bit of a concern for me, which is why I prefer, a Denzel Boston over him, obviously. And I think the NFL will definitely prefer a Denzel Boston over him. He's only caught 6 of his 18 contested catch opportunities this year, which is a little bit of a concern. But if you look at the last 3 years, last year was at Indiana, 16 of 27 for a 60% contested catch rate, dominated at James Madison, dominated at St. Francis. Not that.
Oh, no, not that.
St. Francis, what are they?
Red Flash, I think.
Red Flash.
Hot
Red Flash. I think that's what they are.
St. Francis Hot Flash.
I don't think it's the Hot Flash. I really don't. But I like Sarratt a lot. That's my wide receiver pick. So yeah, look, you get Kenyon, Sadiq, and you still get.
I think if they get Mendoza too, that might be a good hey, we'll get your college buddy.
Oh, buddy, yeah. Like if you took out Bane, right, and you just say, hey, let's go all in on offense, right? You took Mendoza 4th overall, and he was there, whatever. You get Mendoza with your first pick, and then you just get Sadiq and Sarratt. Brother, that is we're cooking on offense. I don't care what's going on defense. We're cooking on
the Bengals. So I would like Sarratt, maybe a little overdrafted, but if you don't have a receiver, I wouldn't hate it. I saw somebody in chat. What about safety in this class? Funny you should mention that.
Glad you asked. It is funny because I believe
this safety class is terrible for the most part. There is one top 10 pick in Caleb Downs, and then you may not see another one until the 50s. Now there are 2.
Yeah, I don't think there's some there's a couple of good guys.
There are, but in terms of first 2 rounds, I think 3 players are going to go in the first 2 rounds of that position. And one of them has a skill set that I just don't love for the Jets. That's Kamari Ramsey for the USC. I just don't think he's that kind of guy the Jets need. They need a ball hawk. They need a smart guy, and they need a turnover generator. So going back to Oregon with the 45th pick, Dylan Thieneman from Oregon. Now, he's had kind of is he a great turnover generator? Well, his first year at Purdue, he picked off 6 passes, which is pretty good for a freshman, won a bunch of awards. Then good year again, but no picks. Some of that's luck. They just didn't throw near him. So from 6 to 0, and this year I think he has 2, and then a bunch of other pass breakups. Really, up until recently, I thought Thieneman was going to go at the end of the first round. It seems like he's kind of become a second-round guy, but I don't know why. At the risk of being stereotypical, because white safety, if he works, I do see a lot of Harrison Smith in his game.
I feel like he could play the slot too. I feel like he could be a slot in the NFL.
Malachi Moore can do that, but he's bigger than Malachi Moore. He's 6'205".
He's better than.
He's better than Malachi. I mean, they're both. I don't say Malachi Moore's bad, but
no, he's not. But Malachi Moore was a 4th round pick.
Very good athlete. He actually ran back punts for a while at Purdue, so he's got that sort of athleticism.
I didn't know that.
The amount of ground he can cover in zone coverage while still hitting hard, it's pretty impressive. He doesn't have that elite skill, I would probably say, in terms of just get off and tackling. It's weird. One game he'll just tackle everybody, and then the next he just won't make any tackles. It's kind of up and down with that. But the tackling this year under Aaron Glenn has been better than it was under Robert Saleh. That was Saleh's big problem, was his guys just couldn't tackle.
Yes.
And even when Sauce was a good tackler this year, and that was always the rub on him, was he couldn't tackle. So if he coaches him up, which he seems like Aaron Glenn, for all his faults, works very well with defensive backs. And I will say he's worked a lot better with safeties than he has with defensive backs, because under Aaron Glenn's watch, the Lions may have developed the best safety tandem in the league with Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. I think even though he's not this versatile or downhill, I think he's got a lot more Brian Branch in him. And I think Aaron Glenn has been kind of looking for his version of Brian Branch. Malachi Moore is like a discount version of that. I think they upgrade fully. I think they did miss some positions right now. I don't think they addressed the interior offensive line, which has a bunch of free agents on it. I don't think they maybe went all in on surrounding the young quarterback with the weapons because they took Ulagalelei in my mock over Brazzell. But I think those are the 4 big positions of need right now: are quarterback, pass rusher, turnover generating DB, X wide receiver. I think those are the 4 big holes, and I think they address all of them in this mock.
Look, we have very similar mocks here. The only difference is that you took a quarterback because I wanted to go through the exercise of not taking quarterback, not because I think that's what they're going to do or what they should do, just to have the opponent point of view, right? And I ended up with Kenyon Sadiq as a result. But we both took edge rushers, we both took X receivers, and we both just took a safety because you didn't mention this guy. You talk about Kalen Downs, you talk about Oregon guy. How do you pronounce the last name?
I think it's Thieneman. Like Theismann, I think.
I keep thinking of Tiana
it's a Dylan Tiana Square.
Which is not what it is.
I think it's Thieneman. You know what? I'm going to go look up the official Oregon pronunciation guide.
Go for it. I have not watched a lot of him.
Because I've heard people say Thieneman. Okay, yeah, there we go.
Thieneman? Okay. I haven't watched a ton of him, so I can't speak on him as much, but I have watched a lot more of this guy. I'm surprised that you have not mentioned him because this is another guy who I think is.
Because I probably don't see him as a top 2 round safety. That's probably why.
Which I feel like he's definitely going to be a 2nd round pick. It's AJ Halsey out of LSU.
No, really?
I think everywhere I've seen
AJ Halsey going like a big board or a mock or something like that is like the 70s.
That's crazy because everywhere I've seen him discussed is 2nd round pick. Like that's a PFF has
2 Americas, it seems.
PFF has him at 53. ADP is 54.5. Like so,
where's do you have Kamari Ramsey on there?
Yeah, my audio's lagged again. God damn it. Every time I click to another tab, this happens all the time. Kamari Ramsey is 62, ADP 66.8. So a little lower.
That's surprising he fell like that.
Thieneman is 61, ADP 61.9. They have Rod Moore up there, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren.
Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, I think, could really rise.
Small school.
It was Quinion Mitchell. Same school, even.
Yeah. Is my audio still lagged? I hate it.
I can't tell via Restream. It only happens on YouTube.
Sure. Well, I hope that fixes. Sorry if my audio is lagging.
Sometimes
right I really like AJ
too many tabs open. Restream will just get overwhelmed, and it's technical issues. We have to like close the stream and reopen it, or just hope it fixes itself. Sorry about that.
I hate it so much. But Halsey, 6 foot, 220 pounds, bigger guy who very, very good in coverage. His run support is also very solid. He's by all accounts, like he's been praised for his leadership. He's kind of one of the leaders of that LSU defense. And as you mentioned, the Jets need a guy with great takeaways. Last year at Houston, 5 interceptions, I believe 9. I don't want to look at my other tabs now because I don't want my audio.
I'll do mine.
I believe he had 9. I believe he had 9 PBUs.
Maybe
last
mine
year.
lags, it'll sync up, and then it'll be fine again.
Well, then I don't think that's how. I think
Well, I didn't know he was listed at 222. That's a big safety.
Yeah, he's big. I told you he's a big dude. The one knock on him that I would say is the missed tackle rates are pretty high. Both of them over the last 2 years, I believe both years have been over 15%. But he's a bigger guy. He's a very willing run defender. His form isn't great. He gets a little Jordan Whiteheady with it.
Well, he wants to make like the Madden big hit, and then
he does, and he's a big guy, and he's bigger than Jordan Whitehead too. He's 6 foot 222.
Do you have any time speed stuff? Because I remember I haven't watched a ton of LSU this year because I don't like Brian Kelly, but until I have to. But he's gone now. But I feel like if a guy that big running that fast with this level of ball skills, I feel like he might have caught on a little bit. So I feel like the speed might be the concern. And honestly, wasn't the speed the concern for Malachi Moore and Azareye'h Thomas too? I don't want the slowest secondary ever here.
I agree. I mean, we'll see what he times at. I haven't noticed when I've watched him, which is not like I haven't watched every single snap from him this year, but when I've watched him, I have not noticed speed being an issue, deep speed being an issue by any means. And I think his ball production as well, it would indicate that he's got some range to him and he's not like this flat-footed safety. Like I think he's a good athlete. And like you said, we'll see what the testing numbers come at, because if he times well, if he's running like a 4.44, right, or 4.46 at 220, as a safety, he might get round 1 consideration, especially given that there's not really another safety that stands out in this class outside of Caleb Downs. So I know you're not super high on him right now.
I mean,
I think
he's
he
a
could end up
good
climbing
player.
up there.
I like Ramsey better. He might be safety 4, but I think McNeil Warren might be kind of once people start watching Toledo all 22, which he might be a guy who kind of gets everybody's attention. And I think Quinion Mitchell legitimately, I think some people go, oh, he's from Toledo, but then that happened, and they're like, oh, maybe
Well, he was a late riser as well. People weren't talking about Quinion Mitchell much in November.
Kind of were.
Not as much. Like, I feel like he ended up getting solidified in first round consideration after
the
because he went to the
5
Bowl,
DB.
right?
I remember getting the most hype recently was Siobhan Ravel, and then he got hurt.
It's probably Chris Johnson this year, right?
Chris Johnson, in my opinion, is a top 50 fringe player.
It's got to be. He's the only group of 5 safety or safety, defensive back. I know. That's what I'm saying, defensive back that I could think of that's getting that hype right now.
Brian Sternbeck, you'll be glad to know Brian Kelly's out. Yeah, so I'm probably on the way to a Scarlet University. No, I don't think he goes to Rutgers.
Oh my goodness!
I don't think they fire Greg Schiano, and I don't think if they hire, I don't think Brian Kelly. Imagine those players. Like, I know they take more yelling in college, but going from Greg Schiano to Brian Kelly.
My goodness. No one want to go to Rutgers.
Nobody wants to go there now, let alone,
Yeah. Yeah. As Brian said, Woody will be happy to have the Jets draft his brother, and that would be the second Chris Johnson that the Jets have had on their roster.
If you go to Rutgers, stay away from scissor lifts because scissor lifts.
I don't like that.
Why?
I don't like that phrase.
Well, I mean, what is Brian Kelly?
What is that? What is a scissor lift?
Oh, you don't remember the thing with that goes up, that little when they film the practice.
Well, that's the thing where Brian Kelly. Well, that's the thing where Brian Kelly got
called a scissor lift. What he put the kid up on?
They call it a scissor.
Yes,
a scissor lift. Oh,
that's what
I didn't know that. I call it tower.
A tower.
With my expansive vocabulary, I call
what
it.
What a literary
mind
you have.
I try. I don't know, man.
I say this not knowing that, having gotten glasses, that an ophthalmologist, that like an eye doctor and people who make glasses at Pearl Vision had 2 different terms. I thought eye doctors worked at Pearl Vision.
Wait, what's the guy who makes glasses?
An ophthalmologist.
And then an ophthalmologist. So ophthalmologist and ophthalmologist?
Yeah, they're different things.
All right. I feel like that's not common knowledge. I didn't know that. Don't make me
Brian Sternbeck diamond lift is acceptable as well. Because when they lift, it's in the shape of a diamond.
My audio's getting messed up again because I'm doing this. Oh, that's not a tower.
What'd you call that then? It's just
I don't know. I don't think I've ever referred to it as anything. I just see that at Home Depot.
Well, now you know what it's called. There you go.
A scissor lift. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's why they call it that.
No, I see where they got that from. That does look like a scissor lift.
Yeah, whoever's in charge of naming things, Justin says you did a good job.
Yeah, A+ for that name. You know what I'd probably call it? I'd call it like a funky forklift.
I'd call it a see, that's so many syllables. It's funky forklift.
Yeah, but it's alliterative though. So that gives it a boost, right?
And Magic Construction guy, get on the funky forklift.
Yes, dude. Actually, wait a minute. Hold on. Bumping the grade down to an A- for the scissor. What is it? Scissor thing? What is it called?
Dude, a scissor lift.
Scissor lift. Thank you. I forgot. I'm sorry. I got so in on funky forklift, which I think
let's recap our mock drafts really quick. There's the correct one and the wrong one. Mine, of course, being the correct one.
Okay. All right.
No, Justin's is very good if they don't get a quarterback. Justin went with Ruben Bane at number 4. Miami edge rusher, and then Oregon tight end Kenyon Sadiq at 28, which apparently was a little controversial.
Apparently a terrible pick.
Then he went with Indiana receiver Elijah Sarratt at 35 and LSU safety A.J. Halsey at 45. I decided to go with Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza at 4 in case they get a little lucky and there's no trade-ups. Oregon edge Matayo Ulagalelei at number 28, Tennessee wide receiver Chris Brazzell at number 35, and Oregon safety Dylan Thieneman at number 45.
I love both of these. Again, obviously mine is under the assumption that they're not taking a quarterback, which I don't think is going to happen. It's just more so for the fun exercise of it. But I think both of us really hit on, we did not confer on this.
No,
at
we
all,
did
by the
not,
way,
no.
before we went into it. And we both went X receiver, edge rusher, and ball hawking safety with 3 of our 4
And you would
picks.
probably want a quarterback, but this was just an exercise to not have one anyway. So
correct. Ideally, I would have drafted a quarterback, and then I probably don't end up drafting Sadiq. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see.
You can't not add to this edge rusher room.
If Sadiq's there at 28, I probably still take Sadiq.
Sadiq was there at 28 in mine. I didn't have him go. So
that's crazy. Well,
I had him going 30 to Denver.
I'd probably go edge rusher at 30.
I thought about the Eagles, but then I went Avion Terrell with them at cornerback just because. And then Sadiq 30 to Bo Nix and the Broncos.
I would be surprised if he falls that far.
Yeah, I just think not a lot of teams. Last year was a really good tight end class, so I don't think there are a lot of teams that are in like dire need of a tight end.
I just think the way that the NFL is trending, teams are, even if you're not in dire need, the player is just so good, you'll find a way to get them on the field.
Didn't they say that about like Kyle Pitts and stuff too?
Yeah, but Arthur Smith should pay for his crimes.
Like, yeah, just do that. Just sign Kyle Pitts, and then and then do the Sadiq plan.
Just sign Kyle Pitts and don't use him a lot. Well, I'd rather not spend that money though. Like I'm not going into the draft thinking I need a tight end. It's more so he falls into your lap. You can't pass on him, right? That was my thinking. I don't think they need a tight end upgrade necessarily. Although you can upgrade over Ruckert at tight end 2 for sure. I think this offseason he is a free agent. But it's not like a necessity.
With that, I think we're going to call time on this episode of the Jeff Press Podcast. Before we sign off, though, Falcons predictions.
Oh, yeah, shoot.
Super quick.
Fuck it. Jets win. Oh, was the second time I predicted the Jets win?
I predicted the Browns, and I predicted...
You didn't predict the Bengals,
I think I did.
No way. Are you 2-0 in your Jets prediction? Win
prediction? I think I said they were going to lose. Then I'm like, you know what? At the end, screw it. Maybe not. So that's like a half.
You said they beat. You said
they beat the Browns. Yeah.
I only said it once, and I forget what game it was, but I know it was Dolphins. I think it was Dolphins, and they lost that game. But I'll say a Jets win here. I just think Kirk Cousins starting, no Drake London. I think you could do enough defensively and then enough offensively against. Well,
offensively they got Bijan, and this defense has been good at stopping the run. So
I'll say big test for this offensive line because Atlanta's pass rush is very, very fun. It's the one part of that team that is fun right now. But I'll say Jets win 20-14.
That's what I was going to say.
14.
Well, because here's why. Number one, Bijan Robinson, who is phenomenal. I think Derrick Henry got slowed down by this rush defense. I think might be a similar thing because I think the Falcons offensive line is
3 games in a row. Like the last 3 running backs that the Jets have played, they played Quinshon Judkins. He averaged 3.8 yards per carry. They played Travion Henderson, averaged I think 3.4. Derrick Henry averaged 3
with no Quinnen.
Right. Like they're doing a really good job bottling up.
So there's that. I think if they had Penix and London, I think the Falcons win, but they don't. They have I'm about to retire and can't move Kirk Cousins.
If Will McDonald sniffs Kirk Cousins, he's going down.
I remember at the end, like Peyton, the year the Broncos won the Super Bowl, I remember like if anybody got close to Peyton Manning, he would just fall down. Like he wouldn't even try to avoid the sack.
Yes.
I feel like we're in that territory with Kirk. And then the problem is on defense, outside of Bryce Young throwing for 500 yards, I think Jeff Ulbrich had a streak of like under 200 yards passing. Because I know Billy Bowman's hurt for them is big, but Xavier Watts has been great. Jalen Walker's been great. James Pierce is not worth trading the pick they traded for him, but he's still been pretty good.
How did Watts fall to the
I have no idea.
That's crazy.
He was such an easy top 50 pick.
So good at Notre Dame. So good.
In a weak safety class too, again.
I know. Wild.
But yeah, I think if they were fully healthy, because Penix, I don't think some great quarterback, but I think he shows you enough. Like I don't think he's totally nothing. I think he just blows his leg up every year is the problem. But I think with Cousins, without London to bail you out on 50-50 balls, that would have been fun to watch him and Brandon Stevens, though. That would have been a cool game. I just don't know if they're going to have really the passing game firepower because I think Bijan will have a good game, but it'll be taken. He might have 10 catches this game. They're just going to dump it off to him all game. I think the Jets are not going to throw for a lot of yards, but this defensive line versus the Jets offensive line and Breece Hall, I think this is going to be a big Breece game. I think Breece kind of redeems himself for the fumble. I think they get one of their maybe 2 more wins on the year against Atlanta here.
Yeah, I'm with you. As Brian said, I think beating the Saints saved Fontenot from being Terry Fontenot, that is, from being fired midseason. But the Falcons should be cleaning house if they do not win the NFC South this year, and they are not going to win the NFC South this year. I could tell you that
I
right
had
now.
an
I'd be
idea.
shocked if they did. I think Morris is definitely
Jets
gone.
2026 DC Raheem Morris.
Oh, if they move on from Wilkes,
I wouldn't hate it.
I don't hate it. I don't
He
necessarily.
seems
I need
like
to
a
look
guy
into
that's
more
great
of
to have on a team, but just not a head coach.
Yeah, I need to look into more of what his, because I kind of blindly was like, yeah, Steve Wilkes.
The
really
last year with the
at time,
Rams, he was I think the number one defense or close to it. And again, so was Brandon Staley. But and I think having Aaron Donald makes it very easy to coach defense. So
on the surface, I don't hate it. I would need to look into more of what his defenses entail.
I think if you're doing the whole former head coach as a DC thing, I think even with Atlanta going like it is, I think Raheem Morris would, like, if he was on the market this year instead of Wilkes, I think we 100% would have rather hired Raheem Morris than Steve Wilkes.
Agreed. I think they probably stick with Wilkes. Morris probably goes somewhere else. I would.
Oh, and he's from Newark. Yep. So
that's interesting. Local New Jersey guy. Maybe something.
Yeah, there could be. I don't know.
Somehow convince Brian Flores to come over as the DC. He's a Brooklyn guy.
Ooh, that could be. Yeah, he is a Brooklyn guy.
He's a Brooklyn guy, but I don't think, why would he come to the Jets? He
was going to, and then he said, "Bring Ryan Grigson with me." Imagine if they had traded Sauce and did all that, and then Ryan Grigson was the GM. How we'd be feeling about this team?
Yeah, it would not be looked at the same way. It would be
we're gonna take Philip. We did all these mocks. We're gonna take another Philip Dorsett in this draft.
Right. Oh God, Jesus Christ.
Jack Newhart.
Well, anyway,
what was the German guy?
I know exactly.
Bjorn Werner. Yeah.
Bjorn Werner, yes. Bjorn, what a pick that was, man. Oh my goodness. He played 3 years.
The NFL's been going on for over 100 years, right? Has there ever been anybody named Bjorn who's been good before outside of him? No.
Maybe in 1930.
Not even.
Possibly
he was tackling Bronco Nagurski, which is still my favorite football name ever.
It is a great
that man was born with a shovel indent in his head. He was born to play football.
Hey, Tank Bigsby also.
Well, his real name is not Tank, so.
No, is Bronco Nagurski's real name Bronco?
No, it's Bronislaw, but yeah.
Bronislaw
Nagurski, Polak.
Is he Polish? I was gonna say that's Polish. So Polish. That was the most Polish name.
Tank's real name is Cartavius, by the way. Wait, his name has Car in it, and he went by Tank. That's a problem.
Is it a
problem? There's no Cadillac Williams. I'll say that much.
It's no funky fork.
Jeez. So thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Jet Press Podcast. Feel free to debate who had the better mock draft, the one with Kenyon Sadiq in it or the one without it.
I think I know who AG's burner is.
I know. I'm up one already. So
he's going left guy over there.
My mom would say two, so I'm already up two. So
shoot, damn. All right, I need some help.
All right, so Justin, feel free to sign us off.
Yes, sir. We'll be back on Sunday talking Jets, Falcons, and probably just more big picture stuff, talking about whatever happens in that game. Maybe John Mechie could do something. Maybe Adonai Mitchell catches a touchdown. Maybe Mason Taylor, who I still very much like, despite mocking Kenyon Sadiq to the Jets. Maybe Mason Taylor does something really fun. Let's hope that happens. And until then, thank you all for joining us on the show today. You can follow Mike on Twitter at @ByMikeO'Chon. Follow me on Twitter, Justin T. Fried. Follow the Jet Press at the Jet Press. Download the Jet Press podcast where you get podcasts. Check us out on YouTube and TikTok. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. You can also become a member today. Shout out again to Austrian Jet Fan who at the top of the show donated 10 memberships. You are the man. We stream live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time and live immediately following every single Jets game. Thank you all for listening to Jet Press Podcast. I've been Justin Fried. That's Mike Luciano. We want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, a happy start to the holiday season. I hope that everybody has a really good holiday week, enjoying the time with their families. Thank you for spending your Wednesday with us, and we'll see you guys.
Thanksgiving conversations can be tough sometimes. Just start with, boy, the Jets really blew it again, huh? And then that's a great unifier this holiday season.
Well said.